She thought she married him for safety, a quiet home, steady nights, and a man who promised protection. But just 4 weeks into the marriage, she sensed something disturbingly out of place. Every night, he locked one specific room and warned her never to go near it, calling it dangerous. Yet the real danger was the secret he was hiding inside. Strange whispers, soft footsteps that shouldn't exist, and his sudden tension around that door began haunting her mind until one night she followed the sounds and found a hidden file with her name on it, marked with a red label that read, Target. Her heartbeat froze as the truth cracked open. The man she trusted for safety was living a life she never knew existed, a double identity wrapped in a past designed to destroy everything. In that terrifying moment, she realized the safety she married was the danger waiting to explode. She had always believed safety could be found in a person, not a place. And when she met Daniel Hale, she felt a calm she hadn't known in years. Every word he spoke carried warmth. Every gesture promised security. And every glance seemed to protect the fragile walls she had built around her heart. Elena Carter, cautious and careful by nature, had been hurt before, but Daniel was different, or so she thought. The day they married, she felt a sense of relief, a quiet satisfaction that at last someone could shield her from the unpredictability of the world. But within the very walls of their home, a tension lingered, subtle yet undeniable, a shadow waiting to emerge. The first night she noticed it, she woke to the sound of the locked room down the hall. Daniel had always warned her never to enter it, saying it was dangerous, yet the way the key turned and the door seemed to exhale a secret made her pulse race. She couldn't explain it, but instinct whispered that the danger wasn't in the room. It was in what he was hiding from her. Days turned into restless nights as small anomalies began to surface. Daniel would disappear for hours without explanation, leaving subtle traces of his absence that Elena couldn't ignore. The patterns of his life, once predictable and comforting, became intricate puzzles she tried to decipher. There were phone calls answered in whispers, messages deleted with hurried fingers, and files he carried under his jacket that he never let her see. Every time she questioned him, his smile remained calm, almost soothing, but his eyes betrayed a calculation that made her stomach knot. Something was wrong, something significant, and every instinct in her body screamed to find out what it was. She started noticing small details she hadn't before. The way he avoided certain streets, the timing of his appointments, the slight tremor in his hands when he thought she wasn't watching. Fear began to creep in, a slow, deliberate creeping of awareness that the man she trusted was not the man she thought she knew. One evening, curiosity pushed her beyond hesitation. She followed him silently as he left the house, waiting until he disappeared into the night before moving toward the locked room. Her fingers trembled as she held the key she had found hidden under the rug, a key that seemed to vibrate with its own energy, almost alive. She slid it into the lock, and it turned with a soft click that made her heart hammer against her ribs. The door opened, revealing a dimly lit room filled with files, documents, photographs, and maps pinned meticulously on the walls. Each item exuded secrecy, and each photograph told a story that was meant to remain unseen. She stepped inside, her eyes scanning every surface until a red-labeled folder caught her attention. Her name was written in bold letters across the front, Target. Her hands shook as she opened it, flipping through pages filled with personal details, medical records, family contacts, addresses, and phone numbers she had never shared. Her blood ran cold as the realization sank in. Daniel had known everything about her long before she even met him. The person she married for protection was monitoring her life like a mission, carefully collecting information, preparing for something she couldn't yet comprehend. The sound of footsteps behind her made her freeze. Daniel appeared in the doorway, his expression unreadable, his eyes sharp and piercing. There was no warmth in his gaze, only a calculated precision that sent shivers down her spine. "Elena," he said softly, almost reverently, "it's time you understood who I really am." Every instinct she had told her to run, but fear and fascination rooted her to the floor. He stepped closer, and she could see the layers of a life she had never imagined. Secret operations, hidden identities, a world of danger she had been kept from. Her heart pounded in rhythm with the sudden clarity that the safety she married was an illusion. The home that felt comforting, the man who seemed protective, was part of a larger, darker truth. She felt betrayal, fear, confusion, and the spark of determination ignite within her. She needed to understand. She needed to survive. The next hours blurred as Daniel explained fragments of his hidden existence, missions, threats, and secrets so deep they could destroy lives if exposed. Every word was a mixture of revelation and danger. And as the night stretched on, Elena realized she had entered a reality where trust and safety were fragile, fleeting constructs, and where her survival depended on understanding a man who existed in shadows she had never seen. Days passed, but the knowledge of what she had discovered made normal life impossible. She watched him closely, memorizing patterns, decoding movements, and listening for whispers she once ignored. She learned to move silently through the house, observing what he did not want her to see, piecing together fragments of information into a coherent understanding of his dual existence. Each revelation made her more cautious, more aware, yet strangely empowered. The fear that had initially gripped her turned into sharp focus, and she realized that in knowing him, in seeing his secrets, she had acquired an edge. She was no longer just a passive participant in her own life. She had become an active observer, a strategist within the very walls that once defined her safety. The room with the files became her sanctuary and her battleground, a place where knowledge equaled power and power equaled survival. With every secret uncovered, she understood more about the precarious balance between love and deception, trust and control, protection and danger. Her perception of Daniel shifted constantly. Sometimes he was a protector, sometimes a predator, and often both simultaneously. She saw him negotiating with shadowed figures, making calls that hinted at global stakes, and yet occasionally revealing glimpses of tenderness that reminded her why she had been drawn to him. The contrast unnerved her, and she began questioning not only his motives but also her own judgment. Could love exist in a world layered with secrets so dark that the truth could destroy everything? Could safety be genuine when every gesture was a calculation? As her understanding deepened, Elena realized that survival required intelligence, courage, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. She had married for protection, but what she needed now was strategy. She needed insight. She needed mastery over a reality that had been carefully constructed around her. A reality where love was entangled with deception, and where every decision could tip the balance between life and catastrophe. Night after night, she observed, she analyzed, and she learned. The files became a roadmap, a guide to understanding Daniel's life and indirectly her own. She discovered connections she could never have imagined. Hidden associates, undisclosed operations, and a network that spanned continents. Her mind sharpened with each revelation, her instincts honed to a razor's edge. Elena had stepped into a world she didn't choose, but now had to navigate with intelligence and courage. The marriage that began as a sanctuary had transformed into a crucible, where fear, love, strategy, and survival collided. Each day brought new challenges, and each night unveiled further layers of truth. By the time she fully grasped the scope of what she had married into, she knew that nothing would ever feel safe or ordinary again. She was part of something bigger, something perilous, and the secret she uncovered would shape her destiny in ways she could not yet comprehend.